Tonight, an inmate is apprehended after a brief escape from Her Majesty's Penitentiary. Todd Boland is back behind bars. That story and...
Residents of the tiny Random Island community of Robinson Bight are still rattled by the dangerous and brazen shooting that took place here on Saturday.
We were at risk of public harm.
I'm Terry Roberts. I'll have that story coming up.
When staff goes into the room, a lot of times they have to hold their nose because of the buildup of smell.
Well, I would like to apologize to the people of Nain because it's taken way too long to get this issue resolved.
Disrespect and no dignity for the dead. PC MHA Leela Evans says there's been no working morgue in Nain for 2 years.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. A Labrador MHA says people who die in Nain are being treated with utter disrespect in a broken morgue at the Newfoundland and Labrador Health Services Clinic. Torngat Mountains MHA Leela Evans says she recently confirmed the morgue's cooling system hasn't worked for as long as 2 years. Here and Now's Mark Quinn reports.
It's going to be so upsetting to the people in Nain, but people need to know. I can't continue to be silent on this.
Leela Evans wants to issue a warning because the details of this story may be difficult for some people to hear. She says the broken morgue at the health clinic in Nain is unacceptable and disrespectful. The clinic has tried to control the morgue's temperature with a small air conditioner, but that hasn't worked, meaning bodies haven't been kept cool enough.
But what we're hearing is that when people go in, when staff goes into the room, a lot of times they have to hold their nose because of the buildup of smell coming off the people who've passed away. And for me to say that is very upsetting.
Evans says she only learned about the problem here recently. She believes a similar malfunction would have been fixed quickly in other parts of the province.
When I heard it, I was really upset. And it's hard to distinguish between being upset and being angry because of the way we're treated. The way we're treated upsets me and it makes me angry. And I know a lot of people in Northern Labrador feels the same way. It should never have been allowed to happen.
The Torngat Mountains MHA says the provincial government and the health authority have shown disregard for the people of Labrador.
It's about respect for the people who passed away, and it's about respect for the loved ones who have to bury their family members, their friends who passed away, and this should never have gotten to this point.
CBC requested an interview with the province's health minister, but was told this is a matter for NL Health Services. When CBC contacted the Provincial Health Authority, it responded that it is looking into the matter. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
So late this afternoon, CBC did hear from NL Health Services. The Health Authority's interim CEO confirmed the morgue in Nain has had long-standing problems, and she apologized to the residents of Labrador.
I'd like to apologize to the people of Nain because it's taken way too long to get this issue resolved for a variety of reasons. But we want to treat everyone with dignity and respect. And certainly when someone passes away, things should not be made more difficult for families because of uncomfortable conditions, because we have faulty equipment in one of our rooms. So we're really sorry about that, and we will do better. I learned about this late last week. So we have a cooling unit in the health center in Nain that's been very problematic. So we've sent technicians in who occasionally have been able to do a temporary fix, but it keeps breaking. So in light of that, we installed this spring a temporary unit, an air conditioner, I guess you'd call it. It's vented up through the roof there while we've been waiting for a technician who is able to go in to fix the actual cooling unit. So I'm happy to say that he will actually be there on Thursday, and we've confirmed that the equipment he needs for the permanent fix is already there. So hopefully this issue will be fixed by the end of this week.
Well, in other news, police had to track down an escaped prisoner from Her Majesty's Penitentiary in St. John's today. The RNC says 51-year-old Todd Boland made a break for it, fleeing on foot. While unlawfully at large, police were advising people not to approach Boland. He was found around 11:30 this morning in the Signal Hill area, about 2 hours after the call about his escape came in. According to the provincial court docket, a man named Todd Joseph Boland was scheduled to appear in court today on dozens of charges, including assault with a weapon or imitation, uttering threats to cause bodily death or bodily harm, and theft under $5,000. Police say he will be going back into custody to appear on new charges related to today's escape. Residents of the tiny Random Island community of Robinson Bight say they're still rattled following a dangerous shooting incident on Saturday. Here Now's Terry Roberts reports.
There are less than 24 homes here in Robinson Bight. This tiny Random Island community is mostly very quiet, but that tranquility was shattered on Saturday afternoon by the rapid popping sound of gunfire. It happened here mid-afternoon. Residents say 2 BMW luxury vehicles were driving exceedingly fast through the community, that a black BMW car pulled to a stop in front of a white BMW SUV. So here's what we've gathered from talking to local residents, and we'll use our CBC vehicle to help illustrate this. So the white BMW was hit with no less than 5 bullets. One right here through the passenger side window. One right here. One here. One through the driver's side mirror. And this one, the scariest of all. One bullet went straight through here, and we're told lodged in the dash right here. A bullet with a trajectory straight through the center mass of whoever would have been behind that wheel. There were multiple people in the black vehicle, I'm told, and started spraying the white vehicle with bullets. The driver of the white BMW reversed in a panic and backed into this ditch. A female emerged from that white BMW and sought shelter in a house nearby. In all the chaos, 2 bullets hit homes in the community. One man was sitting in his living room. He heard a pop and saw dust kicked up inside his house. Another bullet whizzed through this green awning and into the wall of this house. The round was found by police in the kitchen, under the cupboards. So at least 7 shots fired here in Robinson Bight. 5 that went into that white BMW. 2 that struck local houses. And people here tell me they believe there were even more shots fired. There were multiple panic calls to 911. One woman emerged from her house, frantic, believing someone was intentionally shooting at her. Witnesses say the black BMW raced away, traveling across Random Island at dangerous speeds. Not long after the bullets started flying and 911 calls started coming in, RCMP officers traveling in about 5 vehicles set up a roadblock here at the causeway leading to Random Island. But what they probably didn't know was that BMW had already raced across the island at high speeds and had left the area. The RCMP issued an advisory on Facebook and other social media, saying officers from Clarenville were responding to a report involving a firearm, that a roadblock was in place, and that they were looking for a black BMW car. The Post also requested that residents of Random Island take shelter in their homes. At 5:18 p.m., nearly 3 hours after the shooting, the RCMP reported on social media that officers from Bay Roberts were in Mackinson's, where a black BMW was on fire. This is a photo of that burning BMW, obtained by CBC News. Police have not said whether this is the same vehicle connected to the Random Island incident, but it's not hard to connect the dots. Then just before 6 o'clock on Saturday, the RCMP issued another notice on Facebook, saying it was safe for Random Island residents to resume normal activities, and that any sightings of the black BMW should be reported. Some residents here are not happy with the emergency response. They wonder why RCMP officers stayed at the causeway for more than 2 hours before entering Random Island, despite having multiple reports of shots being fired.
And again, at that point, I assume that the police must have been thinking that the car and the shooter was still on the island. But we didn't get an emergency alert at any point that day.
They also wonder why there was no alert sent to their phones, televisions, and radios, warning them of an active shooter and advising people to take shelter.
I can't recall anything like this ever happening here. So that's why it's just shaken us up that we were, for those moments on Saturday, we were at risk of public harm.
Miraculously, no one was injured, but people here still can't believe what happened in their normally quiet community. Terry Roberts, CBC News, Random Island.
Well, the RCMP is responding to this weekend's event. Here's what Corporal Jolene Garland had to say about what happened.
We didn't have the criteria for an emergency alert. We didn't have, an active shooter that was shooting at random. We had one incident we believe was targeted. The suspect departed the area immediately after that occurred, and there was no other evidence to suggest that would support an emergency alert being activated. Later in that same afternoon, Bay Roberts, our CMP, responded to a report of a vehicle on fire that matched the report of the suspect vehicle, a black BMW car. We believe at this time that that vehicle was the same that was involved in the shooting on Random Island.
Well, Premier Andrew Furey is defending his decision to call in the province's child and youth advocate to investigate concerns related to the Tony Humby-Bruce Escott abuse case. This comes after a retired Crown prosecutor pointed out the advocate's previous work history and how that could create a conflict of interest. Ryan Cook reports.
The Premier answered questions from reporters today for the first time since directing the province's child and youth advocate to undertake a review of policies and procedures in the child protection system. He wants to know, could the system have done something more to protect vulnerable youth from these men accused of widespread sexual abuse?
It was so troubling to us to hear that there could have been a systems failure that put children at risk, that we wanted to do something immediately.
His call for an investigation came after CBC Investigates published details from untested search warrant documents, which provide an account of how social workers and police were aware of allegations against Humby for years before charges were laid in the spring of 2023. Humby has pleaded not guilty and is headed to trial next March. His co-accused Bruce Escott has reached a plea deal. Not everyone is pleased with Furey's decision to enlist the advocate, a former senior official within the Child Welfare Department, to head the investigation. Retired Crown Prosecutor Mike Murray voiced those concerns on Friday.
She comes right out of the system. She was probably the senior social worker in the province. I think she was assistant deputy minister before she was appointed child and youth advocate.
Right, 2019 to 2022.
That's right. So she'd be investigating herself.
But today, Furey stressed that there's a difference between the advocate and her office.
It's an office. So while an individual may have a conflict, we've asked the office. We've not asked the individual. We've asked the office to look at the allegations.
The advocate leaves that office though, right?
Well, the office is more than just the advocate itself. Presumably if the advocate herself says, I'm in conflict, then we can establish supports to deal with that conflict.
If those conflicts can't be dealt with, Furey says they're open to finding someone else to head the investigation. There's no timeline yet, but Furey says he wants to see this handled immediately and with urgency. Ryan Cook, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, do you know the indicators of intimate partner violence? A local nonprofit is pointing people to a free online course to help spot the signs. It's called Signal for Help Responder Mini Course, and it takes less than an hour to complete.
Just the basis behind it is really just building community. It's not something where people are coming in as a savior, quote unquote, and trying to take somebody directly out of the situation or putting themselves in harm's way or putting the person in question and further harm. It's really just being a listening ear and letting the person feel what they need to do is the best option. I always believe that people are experts in their own experiences and their stories, and it really does promote this ideology.
Well, many forms of violence were perpetuated at residential schools in this country. Yesterday was the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, a day meant for people to reflect on the horrors committed at those institutions. At an event in Happy Valley Goose Bay, people shared their reasons for talking about truth and reconciliation.
My turn come in 1967 when I went to the residential boarding house in Northwest River, and You know, it was difficult. You know, first time away from my mom, first time away for Christmas, first time away for Easter, because back then we went by float plane, and we had to be ready to leave the last week in August, and we never got back until after the public exams in June. And one year, where there was no airstrips, the ice broke up. He was hanging around, and it was almost July before we finally got home.
I think the most important thing to teach our children is to tell them about the history, the truth about it, that it did actually happen. It did happen here within Labrador and Newfoundland and Labrador. And I think that just sharing that history, teaching them the things that are important about identity and culture, and keeping those points very strong within our families. Our families have experienced harm. However, there's also light in that too, especially days like today.
Well, some of the province's leading minds in the tech sector are in St. John's this week for TechNL's annual Innovation Week. The three-day conference connects attendees with keynote speakers and networking events. This year, one of the focus topics is helping members find practical uses for artificial intelligence.
Innovation Week is our annual event at TechNL to celebrate the big successes of the tech sector in the province, to connect with each other, and also to learn about new technologies like artificial intelligence. When you look at the growth of the tech sector since 2016, for example, the GDP contribution grew by 24%, and we are now at 1.8 billion of GDP contribution. There's more companies coming up. There are existing companies that are growing. Companies like Genoa getting new contracts, Kraken, but also Verafin continuing to hire, Collab Software continuing to hiring. So the growth from smaller companies and bigger companies continues to happen here, and we're excited about it.
It's actually incredible to see. When I joined the tech sector 15 years ago, they had some incredible companies that are still here and doing amazing things with Vision 33 and Blue Drop, and they were doing it from here and working across Canada and the US, and they're still here and they're still thriving. But what we're seeing is more startups growing, and it's incredible to see.
In terms of number of tech workers in the province, we are about 9,500 tech workers in the province with 1.8 billion of GDP contribution.
I'm Mimi Sharif, your host for Season 2 of Creators at the World's Edge, a podcast about a diverse bunch of audacious folks turning Newfoundland and Labrador into a tech powerhouse.
I think there is naturally a lot of creativity in this province, and also an attachment to this place. The outdoors are amazing, the lifestyle is great, and I think it attracts a lot of innovators and inspires them to start their companies from here.
You know that we have something special here. You can choose to live in Toronto, you can choose to live in Vancouver, you can choose to live in Silicon Valley, but you choose to live here. Because in this day and age, your product can be designed, developed, produced, and exported from Newfoundland and Labrador. And I would argue that you couldn't say that 20, 30 years ago, but you can say it today.
I think tech is everywhere. Tech is in fisheries, tech is in healthcare, tech is in energy, and we see this collaboration between both industries as very important, and we're going to continue to work with the fisheries and the ocean sector to leverage those opportunities.
That one! It's a class designed to teach seniors that there's more to fitness than just walking.
This class and classes like this is the trend.
I'm Jeremy Eaton, and I'm going to bring you that story later on.
Well, it's definitely a good day to work out inside. We've got lots of rain again, the story today. Big ridge of high pressure up to the northern portions of Labrador. In fact, I'll talk all about it coming up.
Well, Ashley, we've been kind of settled into this gray, sort of misty pattern for the past week or so. Yesterday was pretty nice, but how are things looking going forward?
Yeah, we've got a couple more days of some of this rain, but the good news is that there is a break in this pattern that we have been seeing. So let's take a look at what's going on right now. So we have a ridge of high pressure to the north. That is keeping most of Labrador, well, all of Labrador, in sunny skies today, and even parts of the island seeing some of that sunshine as this ridge of high pressure sinks south through the day. But we've got an area of low pressure offshore keeping us in that northerly flow, and also some showers through most of the afternoon. The other thing is it's fairly windy out there, or has been fairly breezy out there, just because of the fact that we have that area of low pressure to the south and this ridge of high pressure to the north. And that is going to continue as we head through tonight. Temperatures, though, this afternoon. The hot spot was Port aux Basques, 17 degrees this afternoon. Really southwestern portions of the island seeing the nicest weather, the nicest temperatures this afternoon. 9 degrees in Twillingate, same thing for St. Anthony, and then up across Labrador, your temperatures a little cooler towards the coast, but Lab City, you are sitting at 16 degrees this afternoon, and you're still sitting there now. Now, temperatures have dipped a little bit down to the single digits for Gander, 9 degrees, Lassie, 6 degrees right now. And we can expect these similar temperatures as we head through the night tonight and into tomorrow. In fact, most of us are going to see those temperatures dropping, and they were very different from yesterday in some cases, anywhere from 5 to 6 degrees cooler than what we were seeing in Twillingate, Badger, Gander yesterday afternoon, or yesterday evening, I should say. And then up across Labrador, temperatures are different on the other side of that, plus 4 degrees warmer in Cartwright this afternoon. So what we have on the go is lots of shower activity showing up, or some spotty shower activity, I should say, showing up. Most of the heaviest rain is sitting offshore right now, but skies are starting to clear for the western portion of the island as, like I said, this ridge of high pressure sinks south, but we still do have some of those showers in northerly flow. So expect that and some drizzle, and also some fog patches tonight as we head through the overnight. But really the winds, Twillingate seeing gusts around 59 kilometers per hour, 50 right now in St. John's. And as we head through the overnight tonight, we're going to continue to see these winds. In fact, they're going to get a little bit stronger as well, mainly for eastern Newfoundland. But we could be talking about winds gusting around 50 or even 60 kilometers per hour. As we head into tomorrow, the first part of the day, that is going to stick around for eastern Newfoundland. And other than that, we'll be seeing those gusts between 40 to 60 for the rest, pretty much the eastern portion of the island as we head into Wednesday. And then eventually we'll see those ease as we get into Thursday morning. But we're in for a little bit of breezy weather. Tonight, like I said, fog patches, the chance of some drizzle. Lovely up across Labrador, except towards the coast. You may see some fog patches in there as well. And temperatures tonight are going to sit in the single digits for most of us, except around 10 degrees for St. John. Same thing for Marystown. Up across Labrador, 2 to 6 degrees for your overnight lows. And then into tomorrow, that ridge of high pressure will dominate the weather picture again up across Labrador. However, we will start to see some showers move in, some cloud cover move in first, and then some cloud cover and then some showers rather for Lab West. Now across the island, it's going to start a bit cloudy for the western portion of the island through central. Same thing with the chance of some showers, but the day will turn out pretty nice. Unfortunately, eastern areas and really all along the northeast coast, again, we're going to continue to see that northerly flow along with that chance of showers, although the fog patches dissipate as we head into the afternoon hours. Those showers will arrive late day for those of you in Lab West. Temperatures tomorrow, they're going to stay pretty much where they are today, anywhere from 11 to 13 degrees. Again, northerly winds, breezy, around 60 kilometers per hour. You head towards the west and really southwest coast. It's going to be beautiful. 15 to 16 degrees tomorrow under lots of sunshine. Cooler, though, for the northern peninsula, and that will be the story for southeastern portions of Labrador as well, into the single digits. Otherwise, we'll be hovering somewhere between the mid to upper teens tomorrow across Labrador. Beautiful stretch of weather. And it is going to continue. This nice weather will continue for those of you up across the Big Land. And like I said, a break in the weather for portions of the island as well. I'll get into that in the long-range forecast.
A fitness instructor in St. John's is happy to see that so many seniors have taken up walking, but she says that age demographic needs to do more than just that. So she's offering a class to teach it. If this is something that you didn't know about, let me tell you.
This class is 45 minutes. Everybody ready for the warm-up? So it's called Healthy for Life. This class was actually designed by myself a couple of years ago. It's a class that is essentially for anybody, okay? Any fitness level can attend this class. It's not one specific group. It's meant to be a strength and resistance training class. So it's not your traditional aerobics class. It's all strength and conditioning. We use resistance bands, we use body weight exercises, and we use weights. One more. Beautiful, beautiful rest. At least a lot of the older adults that I see, and when I say older, I don't mean 70 plus, 60, I mean 40, okay? 40 plus, even maybe 35. You see a lot of people that get out for a walk, maybe in the winter they're skiing or snowshoeing, in the summer maybe they're doing a bit of hiking, a bit of walking, maybe a bit of biking, but what they're not doing is strength training. And strength training is so important. After the age of 40, we start to lose muscle about 1% per year if we don't do something about it. If we do, we can maintain that. So a lot of people have a misconception about aging, that it's a natural process, and to some degree it is, but we can't stop it, but we can certainly slow it down.
I remember I watched the class first and thought kind of smugly that, oh, that'll be easy. Then I did a class and realized there was a lot of stuff I actually couldn't do at the beginning. So now a year and a half later, I see huge improvement. So I feel really good about that.
Finding a difference since I started. More energetic, have more fun with the grandkids, able to do the stuff that I really enjoy a little bit more, salmon fishing, photography, hiking, that sort of stuff. And this class has really helped.
I feel good.
What do you think of Debbie as a teacher?
She's fantastic. Love it. It's the first class in my life I've actually stuck to for more than a month. I have to admit, I think it's the retro playlist, but mostly it's Debbie. She's got a great sense of humor and make sure we don't hurt ourselves doing things, so it's fun.
Almost there. This class is vital. If you look at the fitness industry and you look at our aging population, this class and classes like this is the trend. Because we're living longer, we want to live longer better. We don't want to be sitting in a chair. We want to be continuing our life. People retire, they don't want to sit, and they want to be doing things. Inhale, exhale, bring your arms around, give yourself a big hug. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Org.
Well, we're 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving Day, but while some people will give thanks over a big turkey dinner with all the trimmings, many people in this province would be grateful just to get a decent meal. Many food banks have been dealing with a sharp increase in demand and a decrease in donations. Caitlin Clark is with the St. Vincent de Paul Food Bank in Carbonear and joins me now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Carolyn.
We've had a lot of coverage about the difficulties food banks have been facing in terms of donations, especially with the high cost of living these days. Can you talk about the donation levels that you're seeing?
Yes, for sure. Typically this time of year, like from late summer into the fall, donations typically go down for us. A lot of people think about their local food bank at around Christmas time, but really this is the time of the year where we start trying to stock up for that and prepare for it. So this time of year, typically, like I said, we see donations go down. So we're hoping to try and drum up some more donations as we start to prepare for December.
Are there any plans to do anything differently for Thanksgiving Day? Like, will you see more people than usual come in around that holiday looking for maybe some of those traditional Thanksgiving Day meal items?
We do often see more of a demand in the week leading up to Thanksgiving. People are looking for those items, and we try to accommodate where we can. But just in general, like just to have like food in the house for that weekend. For a lot of people, there's family visiting, or they might have like their parents with them, that kind of thing. So just having like items in the home, because for a lot of these people, Thanksgiving dinner might not even be an option. So like having like those other staples are a huge bonus, and that's what we'll be looking for in that week.
Caitlin, can you talk to me a bit about your own experience working at the food bank? I'm sure you speak a lot with the people who come in looking for help. What sorts of things do they tell you about their lives and what they're going through right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I'm incredibly fortunate to get to be here on a day-to-day basis and speak with the people that we help. It's a lot of stories that will absolutely break your heart. But we're also very fortunate that we've formed a lot of bonds with these people, and we'll check in with them and stuff. It's like there's people that I know the names of their pets, and we consider those part of our family as well. One thing that I hear from a lot of people even is that they don't reach out for help until they've run out of pet food or something. Another story that has always stuck with me, that's from my very first month working at the food bank, was during Christmas hamper registration, hearing from a person in the community who had worked their whole life, and had been married and raised their children. And in their senior years, they had fallen down on hard times, and they hadn't been aware of the food bank the Christmas prior to that. So they explained to us that Christmas beforehand had been the first Christmas in their 25 plus year marriage where them and their partner didn't have a turkey for Christmas. And it's been 4 years since I've heard that story, but it still brings tears to my eyes. I think everybody should be able to enjoy some holiday magic, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of age groups do you typically see? Do you see a lot of seniors these days? Do you see people who are more middle-aged or younger people, or is it right across the board?
I would say it's pretty well right across the board. We do see a lot of seniors. Seniors are, of course, on a restricted budget, and they often have dietary needs. They're trying to compensate for the increased need for heat this time of year, whether that be like an oil bill or electricity bill. And on that fixed budget, it's very difficult to accommodate for that increased price. So we do see a lot of seniors. We've also been seeing more families that are like later 20s into their like middle age area. I've been seeing more of those. These are people that are working, but they're also renting, and they also have car bills and gas to pay for. So we've been seeing a lot more of those, especially this time of year.
Well, Caitlin Clark, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are grateful for the work that you do. I really appreciate your time, and thanks so much for checking in with us.
Thank you for having me.
Returning now to a story we brought you earlier tonight, the Premier is dismissing concerns about potential conflicts when it comes to investigating abuse allegations against Tony Humby and Bruce Escott. Following a series of CBC stories, Premier Andrew Furey directed the Child and Youth Advocate to look into the matter. The CBC's Rob Antle pressed the Premier today on whether Linda Clemens-Spurl is the person for the job.
So questions have been raised by a former Crown prosecutor, Mike Murray, about whether the Child and Youth Advocate is the appropriate person to do this, given the fact that she was a senior official in the department for many years, but assistant deputy minister, I believe, for 4 years at a relevant time. What's your reaction to that?
Look, anytime someone takes a position, a leadership position, there's inevitably going to be some potential conflicts. There are appropriate measures, and I have faith in the advocate that she will recognize any potential conflicts, disclose them, and deal with them appropriately. Life is full of conflicts. It's not about the conflict itself, it's about how you handle it.
One conflict that previously, or potential conflict that previously had been identified by your government, a year and a half ago, your government actually went to court. An independent officer of the House of Assembly, the Privacy Commissioner, was doing a review of the cyber attack. He was a former ADM in the Health Department, and your government said that was an apprehension of bias and you wanted him off the case. This case sounds very similar. It's, an independent officer of the House who is a former ADM in the department involved. How is one different from the other?
I think you're taking a significant step there. It's an office. So while an individual may have a conflict, we've asked the office. We've not asked the individual. We've asked the office to look at the allegations.
The advocate leaves that office, though, right?
Well, the office is more than just the advocate itself. Presumably, if the advocate herself says, I'm in conflict, then we can establish supports to deal with that conflict. I think what's more important is that we're taking immediate action. The conflicts can be resolved if they exist. And if they exist, then we need somebody else, and that's fine. And I'm sure the advocate would say that too. No one wants to be in conflict in this particular situation. This is a new ask. So I am sure that I would hope that office, not individual, is evaluating potential conflicts. But again, we're moving forward, and if conflicts need to be resolved, they'll be resolved.
And just to be clear, this review is going to focus on CSSD, not on the police side of this. Is that accurate?
That's correct. Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, at this point, there are allegations of there's allegations that the system and the department had interactions, and that's entirely within government's purview and control. Of course, we don't direct the police. The police are independent of government. So now that we know this potential, I'm not saying it's fact, but there's allegations of it within government itself, that's incumbent upon us to look at that particular piece of government.
What type of time frame are you looking to have a report come out?
I'm not sure, to be honest, but whatever time is necessary, hopefully it's given the urgency that is required, given that we're talking about children.
I'm Paula Gale, host of the broadcast. This is the Calvert. It's a factory freezer trawler owned by Ocean Choice International. It fishes for flounder, redfish, and now northern cod. With so much criticism today of offshore draggers like this one, we're going to take you aboard to learn how trawling affects the marine environment.
It's a dedicated groundfish trawler, first of all, so we're catching all sorts of groundfish species. So we have a fishing aspect and a trawl deck where we catch the species, and then we have a factory where it's processed on board and frozen, and then it's delivered into our cold storage or fishing hold. In the company, we have people working from over 300 different communities around Newfoundland. If you specifically look at trawling, I would say the best thing I could do to put it in perspective is that the fish is usually caught in the same area year after year. And when you add up over historically, the total amount of bottom that's affected by bottom trawling, it's around 2% for some fisheries, or 1%. So it's a very small footprint in total. And because it's repetitive areas, that footprint is very stable.
Bycatch can be a concern with this. What's done on the Calvert to avoid catching non-targeted species?
Yes, absolutely. So all types of gear have bycatch, and certainly we have all sorts of ways to manage it depending on the fisheries. There's various fisheries, you have various techniques. For us, as the depths of the water, we're understanding the species and where they hang out, the water depths, what the marks looks like on the sonar. And if there's uncertainty, you generally have a short tow and to verify what the species is. If you hit the wrong species, there's a move on protocol So you'd move 10 nautical miles and try again, things like that.
Do you think that some of this criticism is unwarranted or inaccurate or unfair, you know, to companies such as OCI?
Certainly. I mean, if you look historically, it's completely unfair. I mean, we totally agree with the priority to the inshore and the first 115,000 tonnes, and priority has been well defined. If you look at all the modern fishing nations in the US, Norway, Iceland, there's an inshore and offshore component. And in Newfoundland in the past, and in Canada in general, there's been an offshore component, and that's really not an accident because, you know, there is value in a year-round fishery. There is value in supplying the market and year-round work, and that helps the overall value of the cod in the area. So you know, you can get all the pounds, but really what we're looking for is value.
What's your understanding of offshore vessels from outside of Canada fishing for northern cod? Just tell us what you know about that.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, essentially, Canada has 95% of this cod as a transboundary stock. And it's really unfortunate. I believe that as a nation we should be able to take in our full continental shelf. But I mean, that's a bigger issue than we can solve as a province or a country. It's an international issue.
Okay, so before we get to the forecast, we've been tracking Hurricane Helene, of course, and have an update.
Yeah, so Hurricane Helene now ranks as one of the deadliest storms in modern U.S. history. More than 135 deaths have been reported across 6 states, and hundreds of people remain unaccounted for.
Yeah, just incredible. Incredible video days after the storm slammed ashore in the Big Bend area of Florida. Millions of people all the way to North Carolina are still without power, water, and cell service. Western North Carolina has been particularly hard hit. Emergency crews from across the U.S. and Canada are working to locate the missing and restore services. Forecasters are also keeping an eye on Tropical Storm Kirk. It's well offshore, but it's expected to become a powerful Atlantic hurricane later this week. Something to keep an eye on for sure. Feels like it has been, at least for us, fairly quiet in terms of the hurricane season so far.
Yeah, it certainly has. We've been fairly lucky. Kirk, as you just mentioned there, is expected to stay well offshore and won't affect our weather. Not for the time being anyway, in the forecast range that we're going to talk about. And I really don't think that we will see any effects from it at all. So that's good news. But let's take a look and see what we are going to see over the next couple of days. So as we head into Wednesday evening and into Thursday morning, so a bit unsettled up across Labrador. It's been fairly quiet weather-wise, but some showers will move in. And that will be the story for those of you in Lab West. And otherwise, we still got that area of low pressure offshore, keeping us in northerly flow again across the island. So along the northeast coast, eastern portions of Newfoundland, at least for the first part of Thursday, we are going to see some of those showers affect us. And then we'll see some of those showers move across Labrador as well through the day. Now, as we head into the evening hours, it does look like we should see some clearing. That will be the case for the west coast and through portions of central, although temperatures are going to be on the chilly side again. Single digits or between 11 and 13 degrees. The warmest temperatures will be across the island anyway in the southwest corner. Up across Labrador, temperatures still above seasonable for this time of year, especially in Happy Valley Goose Bay. 18 degrees will be your daytime high, otherwise 11 to 13 degrees. And again, along the strait, temperatures cooler, only sitting in the single digits. Now, as we head into Friday, this is when we should finally see some sun for an extended period of time for eastern Newfoundland and all along the northeast coast. That ridge of high pressure will dominate the weather picture, so we should see some sun. So we're going to switch places with Labrador through the day. Friday will be a tad unsettled up across the Big Land with a chance of showers pretty much across the board as we head into the evening hours. And then for the northern peninsula, west coast, you'll see your chances of showers overnight. But other than that, the day should be pretty nice. Daytime highs will sit between 13 to 17 degrees or even 18 degrees. Labrador cooling back down, 9 degrees in Lab City, but hanging on to those teens still for a little while longer for both Cartwright and Happy Valley Goose Bay through the day between 15 and 16 degrees. Long range forecast. There's a bit of sun as we head into Saturday as well. Sunday, some showers will return, but our daytime highs will be a little bit warmer than what we've been seeing, so 14 to 15 degrees. Now for central Newfoundland, you will see temperatures a little warmer by the time we get into Saturday, about 18 degrees. Cooling for western Newfoundland with some showers in the mix there by the time we get into Sunday, 16 degrees and then 12 on Sunday. Eastern Labrador, you're looking at a few showers, but the weekend looks decent. Temperatures a little cooler though, will feel fall-like, and western Labrador as well with some sunshine and temperatures, your overnight lows dipping a little bit below zero there for your Friday night. Our weather picture today is just north of Happy Valley Goose Bay there in Wellburn Bay. And here's that shot. What a great day. Relaxing at the cabin. Thank you so much for that. If you have any weather photos that you'd like to share with us, do that by sending them to nophotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, I wonder if that's their view from their cabin.
It is.
Like, is their cabin right there on the water?
Certainly is.
Oh, that's nice.
Pretty lovely.
Nice sandy beach. Lovely. Wellburn. Very nice. I like that map too. It's right where it is. Very cool. All right. Well, that is it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. Hope you can join us again tomorrow.
Good night.